Ask Alec.
What's up, guys? It's Alec Torelli, and welcome to an episode of Ask Alec from the top of a random boulder in Joshua Tree, California. Fun fact for you, Joshua trees are named after the Mormon settlers who believed that the trees resembled the prophet Joshua. Enough of the fun facts, though. Today's question comes from my reader Claudio, who asks about bad beats in poker. And he says, look, my biggest problem in poker is the coolers. I can't avoid these coolers, and what do I do? Do you have any advice for me? Those of you who are on my email list know that I read every single email, respond to most of them, and I actually responded a short, concise version of what I'm going to share with you in this video to my reader. But I thought it was important because I know a lot of people ask me about this same subject, and a lot of people are struggling with the same sorts of things. So my first piece of advice to him was a little bit harsh, but sometimes the truth stings a little bit, but I feel like it's the best piece of advice I could give. And I was like, look, if you think that your biggest problem in poker is the luck, or that you feel cheated because you're getting unlucky, or you're always noticing the bad beats and the coolers, I would be very confident in saying that most of the time these things happen, they aren't in fact coolers, or they aren't in fact times where you got unlucky. It's just a situation that perhaps you don't understand the game on a deep enough level to get away from certain hands or certain spots that seem like coolers on the surface, because yes, the absolute strength of your hand and the absolute strength of his hand were both strong, and therefore it's a situation where you're going to lose money. But the amount of money that people lose in these situations doesn't have to be as high as it actually is. And so my challenge to Claudio was like, look, if you think a situation's a cooler and you're getting stacked regularly, then you're probably making some mistakes. And I know that's sometimes hard to hear. It's not what people want to hear. It's not necessarily politically correct, but it's the truth, and I gotta say it. So if you feel like you're getting coolered all the time, you're getting unlucky all the time, or every time you lose a big hand and your opponent catches up or whatever, your first reaction is to blame luck. Number one, you have to stop and check yourself. And your first reaction should be, what can I have done differently to perhaps avoid that situation, or lose less money, or win more money, etc. And always look for ways that you can improve on how you play your hands, and not necessarily blame the luck. There are times where you get unlucky and get stacked, but most of the time, even in my own game, when I go all in and lose, a lot of the time that I do it, even to this day, I realize maybe there was a way I could have done something differently to avoid that situation. And I'm not just saying that based on the results, but based on what I think is the best long-term play. So that's the way that I think I challenge you guys to approach this situation. If you feel like luck or coolers or bad beats or whatever are, the biggest problem in your game, or a big problem in your game, and to look at the situation objectively and not focus only on the luck, but actually work on your own game. So the second piece of advice I gave him was, look, once you are willing to take some responsibility for the times that you go all in and lose, or once you're open-minded to trying to look to a situation where you could improve, and once you stop labeling the times that you got stacked as coolers, because the labeling of it as unlucky prevents you from being open-minded enough to learn, right? And so it's sort of a way to protect yourself by labeling it as unlucky. By labeling it as unlucky, it's like, okay, well, the responsibility's not mine, I didn't make a mistake, my ego's not in check, and I'm okay, I'm free. But by taking responsibility in step one, you can really get to step two, which is finding alternative and creative ways to improve your game so that these things don't happen as often. So one of the processes I like to use to do this is thinking back to pre-flop action and going step by step through the hand to try and figure out ways that you can understand better what your opponent is likely having in this particular spot and what your opponent is actually representing. And then using that information to say, okay, what is the best way to play my hand against the likely hands that my opponent has, or the likely hands that my opponent's representing. I would also challenge you to think one level deeper, go one step further and say, what does my hand look like to my opponent, and how does this affect the play that he is likely to be making? So if a flush card comes and you bet big, and then he raises you, well, one thing you could do instead of perhaps losing all your money with a set or a small flush in this spot, I know this is totally generic, but one thing you could do is step back and say, okay, I represented a flush the whole hand. Now the flush card comes and I'm betting huge. It looks like I have a flush to my opponent, and he's still raising me or going all in when a scary card comes, when it's very easy that I have a flush or a strong hand, so that makes it really unlikely that he's bluffing, and it makes it very likely he has a strong hand. So maybe this is a spot where I can make a big fold and get away from one of these coolers because I have more information and I'm playing the game on a deeper level than my other opponents are, right? So the way you get an edge, and I know that's super generic, doesn't mean you should fold a flush every time or whatever, I'm just using a simple situation to walk you through the process that I use that I think can help you take your game to the next level. So one thing that I challenge you to try and do is go through this process and really review these hands after the session when you're not emotionally involved, you're being more objective, you've had time to like let it marinate and think about the hand itself, and then you could actually go on paper and like write it out, or use a poker equity calculator like I recommend. You could use something like Poker Stove or Poker Cruncher and enter your opponent's hands into a simple number cruncher and just say, okay, how strong does my hand look and how strong does his hand look, and those sorts of things. And I really think that'll help you improve your game. So Claudio, I mean, my biggest piece of advice is just, look, if you think you're getting unlucky, then you have to be more hard on yourself. You have to be more honest with yourself. You have to be, more harsh on yourself, frankly, to be able to get yourself to the point where you could get to step 2 and actually work on improving. So that's my challenge to you, man. Don't take it personally. I love you, brother. Just trying to help you out. And I hope you enjoyed this video of Ask Alec. If you guys have questions you'd like me to answer, shoot them over to me on my blog, alectorelli.com. Click on contact. And I read every email, so I'll pick the best ones and I'll feature them here in this channel, hopefully in other cool locations with fun facts for you guys as well. Subscribe to my channel if you like this video. I'm putting out more new content in 2017. And I'll see you guys next time on Ask Alec. Thanks for watching. Cheers.